The New York Giants have gone out and made a smart roster move, and the trade rumors surrounding the wide receiver position continue to heat up. We'll break that all down on today's show, but first, I want to say thank you to every single person that has hit that subscribe button. We crossed over 90,000 subscribers yesterday. Unreal. You guys are the best, but the show does not stop there. We are on the way to 100,000 subscribers. So, if you love the Giants and you want free videos, multiple videos, every day on your G-Men for free, hit that sub button right now. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Let's dive right into it. The New York Giants have signed 2 players to their practice squad, one being Juice Wells, the former college teammate of Jaxson Dart, his go-to wide receiver at Ole Miss. I believe this is an extremely smart move for the Giants. He spent all of the offseason with Big Blue, but once they got down to roster cutdown day, he did not make the 53-man roster. I always thought he would find his way back on the practice squad. I just didn't think it would take until October 14th, where the New York Giants were extremely thin due to injury. Anytime you can add a rookie quarterback's go-to college wide receiver to the team, I think it's a good idea. But the reason I think it is a smart move is, one, I think he can be a player in this league down the line, and I love getting him in the building so he knows what it takes to be a Giant and an NFL receiver. But more importantly, I was actually impressed with the way that he played in the preseason. I go back to that game against the New York Jets where he had 3 grabs in totality in the preseason, 4 catches for 24 yards. No eye-popping numbers. Let's not get that misconstrued. He's probably not going to be an all-pro receiver this year or maybe ever in his NFL career. But I do think there is a NFL-level wide receiver in Juice Wells. And I loved the way that he caught the ball and got north and south. I go back to this play against the New York Jets where he caught the ball on kind of just a flat route. Could have went out of bounds, but he stuck his foot on the sideline, turned it back up into the field of play, into the teeth of the defense, and he was looking for yards after the catch. That's what I want to see out of receivers. I think he has strong hands. We saw that in college. You go back to that catch he had against Georgia in the back of the end zone where he rose up, caught it for a touchdown, essentially won them the football game, and tapped his toes for 6. We saw his ability to look up and cut it upfield and get busy after the catch. I love the idea of Juice Wells being back on this practice squad with the Giants, thin at the wide receiver spot, and his relationship with Jaxson Dart. Does he get elevated on game day? I'm not so sure. I think they'll continue to roll with Lil Jordan Humphrey as that practice squad game day elevation. But if Darius Slayton is hurt for the long term with that hamstring injury, which is always tricky, and knock on wood, maybe there's another injury coming, Wells could step up and be that guy that is activated to the active roster. And there was always thoughts that he was going to be on the practice squad all year long. As Dan Duggan of The Athletic said on Twitter, Wells, who was Jaxson Dart's college teammate, was with the Giants all offseason as an undrafted free agent. It was surprising that he wasn't signed to the practice squad after cut day because they gave him the equivalent of a full season practice squad salary in guaranteed money following the 2025 NFL draft. So the Giants clearly liked him in the draft process. Not enough to draft him, but enough to give him enough guaranteed money that was the equivalent of a full year on the practice squad. Now he's back on the P squad, and he's an injury away and a couple of good practices potentially away from being active on game day. He has that chemistry with Dart. He has that connection. Those guys are boys, and I'm all in the camp of do whatever it takes to make your rookie quarterback successful and comfortable, and the New York Giants, they are doing that. So a smart move by Joe Schoen, but maybe not the only move at receiver. We're going to break down the report from Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post coming up in a second, as well as 7 Giants wide receiver trade targets. But first, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is awesome. Download the app, create an account, and use that promo code CLNS. It's America's #1 fantasy sports app. And they have an awesome promo deal going right now. When you use the promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So create an account, use the promo code CLNS, play your first $5 lineup, and they'll give you $50 in lineups. And you can roll or fade. My lineup that I have for week 7, I'm focusing in on Giants and Broncos. I am taking the more on half a rushing or receiving touchdown for Cam Scatterbu. You see that red little emoji next to that, meaning if you are correct, the payout will be higher. I'm also taking the less on Bo Nix and his passing and rushing yards at 246.5. If I get both of those correct, my payout will be 3.5x. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks. Just do it at Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All that information will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. The Giants have also signed veteran linebacker Jonas Griffith, to their practice squad. A player that has spent time with the Denver Broncos in the past, and with the Giants being somewhat thin at that linebacker spot, I think this is another move that I would classify as a smart move for the Giants. And he's more of a defensive player than a special teams guy. He's played 22 games in his NFL career, including 12 starts for the Denver Broncos back in the 2021 and 2022 season. Unfortunately, he was bitten by the injury bug and missed the past 2 NFL seasons with 2 different ACL injuries. And he actually worked out for the Giants 3 weeks ago, so Big Blue has been keeping their tabs on Griffith as of late. In 2021, where he played 13 games for Denver, he had 46 tackles, 14 stops. A stop is considered a tackle that results in a negative play for the defense. Had a Pro Football Focus grade of 52.9 and logged almost 340 defensive snaps. The following year, played 9 games, matched his same total of 46 tackles, had 4 tackles for loss, 21 stops, a PFF grade of 69.1, and 255 defensive snaps. So this is a guy that has shown the ability to be successful on defense. And with the Giants thin at that linebacker spot, with Micah McFadden out, Board out, and you really only have Okereke, Musau, Swayze Bosman, and Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who's been dealing with injuries, you are going to need potentially another guy that could be elevated on game days that could potentially play. The New York Giants also went out and made a roster move the other day where they included Neville Hewitt to the active roster as well. So Hewitt goes from the practice squad to the active roster, and Griffith replaces Neville Hewitt on the practice squad. So there are the linebacker moves that have happened over the past couple of days. Let's close out today's video with the New York Giants and the trade rumors that continue to buzz around the wide receiver spot. Ryan Dunleavy does an awesome job covering the Giants for the New York Post. He put out an article where he listed 7 wide receivers he heard could be on the move prior to the deadline. And he said it is a real possibility that the Giants go out and make a trade for a wide receiver. The 7 guys that he mentioned, let's start with the one that's had the most buzz, that being Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints. This is a player that is in his 4th year in the NFL after being a first-round pick. He does have his 5th-year option on his contract that was picked up by New Orleans. That is $15 million for 2026. And Tom Pelissero yesterday of the NFL Network, who filled in for Rich Eisen, said that he thinks Olave could go for a 3rd-round pick. I like Chris Olave. I think he's a good receiver. I'm not sure he's a great receiver. I think he'd be a really good wide receiver too, but he's also going to get paid. Is he going to get paid as a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2? I like the idea of Olave and Neighbors being the 1 and 2 wide receiver on this team going forward. It's just going to matter if the Giants are able to get a deal done for for a third-round pick, I am definitely interested. Rashid Shaheed is another name that we are hearing from Dunleavy as well as from inside the building here at Chat Sports. Shout out to my guy Trace Gerard who covers the Saints. Shaheed is a player that is extremely fast. He's an explosive player. He's a big play creator. You go back to that game where the Giants lost to the Saints. He had a 90-yard touchdown. That's what he does. He takes the top off the defense, and he would add a speed element to this wide receiver group that outside of Jalen Hyatt, they just really do not have at the moment. Jaylen Waddle is a name that has started to pick up some buzz over the last 24 hours. Tom Pelissero mentioned him, and now Dunleavy is mentioning him as well. Waddle would be the player that I am most interested in when it comes to making a trade. He's also the player that would be most expensive. I think at minimum, it would be a second-round pick and some. I'm sure the Dolphins would be looking to get a first-round pick back. I'm not willing to move a first-round pick for a receiver right now. Would rather just draft a receiver in the first round and have him on the cheap for the next 5 years. But if you could trade a second-round pick for Jaylen Waddle, you do have my attention. A new name, Alec Pierce, the big play wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, was mentioned in the New York Post article as a trade candidate. I'm a big fan of Alec Pierce. Last year, almost averaged, I think it was like 22 yards per catch. He is a big play creator. He's also got good size as well. Comes in at 6'3", 211 pounds. Last year had 22.3 yards per reception. He had 824 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. He's a big play threat. He'd get some size on the outside now and in the future opposite of Malik Neighbors. He's a threat down the field. We've seen Jaxson Dart look to target the deep part of the field, especially in contested catch situations. Little Jordan Humphrey has been a beneficiary of that. I think Alec Pierce in the right system where he is featured could be a legit wide receiver too. I like that idea, and I'm not sure how much it would cost. Maybe Deonte Banks could be going that way, and maybe a fifth-round pick. I don't know. Just spitballing here. Jeudy is a name that has been long mentioned around the New York Giants. They almost traded for him back in the 2022 season where they did make that playoff run. Has ties to Brian Dable dating back to their days in the SEC at Alabama. And I think a day 3 pick could potentially get it done. I don't love that Jerry Jeudy isn't great at catching the football. Has a career drop rate higher than Darius Slayton. That's never where you want to be. He is a good receiver, had a really good year last year for Cleveland. I think his time is running out there, but I like my receivers to consistently catch the football, and this is a stat that you just never want to see. I think he already has like 7 drops this year. I think it was like 10 last year. Jauan Jennings is a new name, the wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers that we have not mentioned all that much. Had a really big year last year for the 49ers. Talked to my guy Chase Sr., who hosts the 49ers Report here, and he said he's got like 5 broken ribs right now, and I think both of his ankles are sprained, so I don't really want to trade for a receiver that looks like that guy off the SpongeBob meme, but he is a receiver. He's produced. I would look elsewhere. Another name, new name, Dontayvion Wicks. This is a player that I have been a big fan of really since he entered the National Football League. His rookie year, he had 39 grabs for 581 yards and 4 touchdowns. His sophomore season in 2024, another 39 grabs for 415 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Packers are just loaded at the wide receiver spot. And with Jaden Reed potentially coming back soon, Christian Watson returning at some point this year, they could look to sell one of their wide receivers. Wicks is a guy that is one of the best route runners in the National Football League at 6'1", 206 pounds. He beats man coverage. He creates separation, but kind of like Jerry Jeudy, he's a player that has somewhat struggled to catch the football. And I am someone that I just don't really have time and the energy to put up with drops. In 2024, he had 9 drops, a drop rate of 18.0. That is extremely high. This year, he has just 1 drop on 18 targets. He has 12 drops in his career on 94 targets, an 11.3% career drop rate. So right is the same as Darius Slayton and Jerry Jeudy. He's young. He's quick. He gets open. If you can get him for a day 3 pick, I'd be interested. But that's an intriguing name that we haven't really heard all that much. We talked about 7 wide receivers the New York Giants could potentially trade for. Name a wide receiver you want to see Big Blue trade for. Give me a name down in the comments, and make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram @MarshallGreen_.